Welcome again from the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives. This is Krista King Oaks, Youth Services Consultant. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Summer Reading in a Rural Library. I'd like to introduce to you two fabulous librarians from the McCreary County Public Library, Rhonda Kodorsky, Bookmobile Librarian, and Holly Daugherty, Children's Librarian. With that, ladies, please take it away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's training. We hope that you guys will be able to take a little something away from what we have to share. This is just a compiled training of what we have done, what's worked, what's not worked for us, and those kind of variables to summer reading here in a rural county in McCreary County with a population of roughly 17,000, 18,000. So speaking to you right now, my name is Holly Daugherty, and like Krista King Oaks said, I am the Children's Librarian here in McCreary County. I have been with the McCreary County Public Library for 3 years. So actually just celebrated my 3rd year anniversary with the library this month. And then actually with me today is also Miss Rhonda Kodorsky, and so I will let her tell you a little bit about herself.
Hey guys, it's Rhonda here. I am the Bookmobile and Outreach person here for our library. I've been with our library for 11 years, 8 years out on the Bookmobile, and Holly and I will talk a little bit more about what each of us do, but of course I'm on the Bookmobile in the community and in the preschools and Head Starts and daycares. And also we do offer the summer reading program through our Bookmobile. Is why Holly and I are working together on this presentation, because we work very closely in presenting the program in-house and out on the road. So let's see. To tell you a little bit more about where we're coming from, McCreary County is in southeastern Kentucky. We're this little red spot on the map here. We're right across the Tennessee border. We are a very rural community. A large part of the county is in the Daniel Boone National Forest. Industry is limited in the area, and of course funds are limited, and our customers in the county have a lot of needs that the library strives to meet. As Holly said, our population is around 18,000. You'll see on the slide here, I won't read it all to you, but last summer reading we had 337 children, tweens, and teens participate in our summer reading program. I'd say about half of those were through the Bookmobile, and we have some kids that do both. Let's see. I tend to start talking a little fast. I may have to slow myself down.
And I'll tie in on something that Rhonda just said as well. I know I've seen in the chat box some of you guys were looking for like adult summer reading ideas and those kind of things. Rhonda and I personally just work with the children's department, children's, tweens, and teens. We actually do not offer an adult summer reading here in McCreary County. That's kind of been a talk of mine and Rhonda's. We really feel like it is a need that we need to step up and kind of do here at our library. So maybe some of the things, if you're looking for adult ideas, maybe some of the things we do talk about today will help you as far as adult programming, but there will not be a whole lot targeted strictly for adults. So, but I'll kind of let Rhonda take back over a little bit.
Okay. And I feel like a lot of this, if you are currently doing summer reading at your library, some of this is not really going to be new to you. We've just summarized kind of our process. And if it's a new thing to you, then it might help you along more so. But getting started with summer reading, there's things that we do every year. The first thing is we just sit down and take a look at our dates. And we factor a lot of things into consideration with that, such as the date that school ends, because we don't want to get started too early. We don't want to wait too long to start. So we look at when school is getting out, which of course can change due to snow. And then we also try to take into consideration the 4th of July, because sometimes that falls during our summer reading, and it can affect program attendance and things like that. So we first start looking at the dates, and then we will look at the theme. We do use the theme, the universal theme. I know everybody doesn't. Some libraries choose not to. We do, but when we look at that, we usually put our own spin on it and just try to pull out different aspects. Like when we did Build a Better World, I think it was, we pulled out a different component for each of the 4 weeks, and it was like Build a Better Reader, Build a Better Community, and just kind of played with it like that, not so strictly along with a set theme. Then we will look at that and we'll just brainstorm and get some ideas about where we want to go with programming. And we usually do ours for 4 to 6 weeks. We're doing 4 weeks again this year. And we will do a weekly breakdown of the books that we're going to use, the crafts and activities, and the programs that we are going to schedule. Okay, let Holly take back over for that.
Okay, so kind of like what she was saying, you know, we start the planning process, we set our dates, we look at the theme, we brainstorm, we kind of get everything there. Then we actually go to our shelves here in the library and we start looking at our books. What books do we have to offer on this, you know, the actual theme for summer reading? That's kind of our main key component. We always like to do book displays around the themes. We prepare our actual traveling kits for the bookmobiles around our themes, our programs around the themes. So that's why you'll see first and foremost on that line it says books, books, and more books, because we definitely want our books to wrap around the theme wonderfully. So with that being said, we do go to the shelves. We look and see what we have. If we do not feel like we have an adequate number or an adequate quality of books, then we do order new books to get us prepared and ready for summer reading. So that's just kind of the first and foremost thing as we try to do the housekeeping inside, figure out what we have, and then what we're going to need before we start ordering. Then we look at our weekly activities or crafts that we're going to do. Some weeks we'll do activities, some weeks we'll do crafts, some weeks we may do a combination of both. So, then we go, of course, we have a supply room here at the library where we try to keep a lot of things just kind of readily on hand, but we'll go in, we'll look and see what supplies do we need, what do we need to order, and where do we need to order that from, because coming from a rural county, we work on a rural county budget, as probably most of you guys, if you're in this training, are doing as well. We work on a fixed budget, so we do a lot with Oriental Trading, Dollar Tree, Amazon, and I put it in big bold down there at the bottom, Pinterest. I don't know what, especially children's librarians, ever did before Pinterest. I am a faithful Pinterest goer. I always start me a summer reading board on Pinterest and start putting and plugging those ideas in. But whenever we come to actually ordering and those kind of things, we try to keep in mind to stick within that budget, stick within that theme, but still give our patrons a good quality program. So then putting it all together. So we talked about how we do summer reading in the library, but we also do it on the Bookmobile with Miss Rhonda. So you'll see where we talk about weekly kits being prepared, we actually have went to Walmart and have purchased clear storage plastic containers. Not really deep ones, but you can kind of get the size that works best for you. But ours are just see-through, clear containers, and we go into actually preparing our weekly kits. So kind of like what she talked about when we did Build a Better World theme, we did weekly things, Build a Better Reader, Build a Better Community, those kind of things. So when we were preparing our kits, we prepared it by that weekly theme. So going into those kits, we pulled, of course, all of our books. So like of the week, it was like Build a Better Community. We pulled our community helper books, those kind of things. We pulled all of our craft supplies in and any type of our activity supplies. Everything went into that, locking, storage tote for easily to be used by myself here at the library or with Miss Rhonda on the Bookmobile. It's kind of that grab-and-go convenience, and it's that security to Rhonda and I think, to know that we have these kits prepared weeks ahead of time, and we know that everything we're going to need is in that tote and ready to go. Now, our kits are rotated weekly between Rhonda on the Bookmobile and in-house with myself. So like maybe the first week, I may do Build a Better Community. She may do that on her second week. We rotate those. We don't necessarily do the same theme every week, across the board. So it may not be that she's covering the same content that I'm covering on the same week. It may skip weeks. But the content is going to be covered in the 4 weeks of our summer reading throughout. We always estimate our numbers and plan accordingly. We look back, of course, on the year prior, how many we had. We look at program numbers, those kind of things, how many she had on the Bookmobile. We may even look at summer reading sign-up because we do an ice cream social to get people in, get them excited, kind of give that kind of like a pepper rally for summer reading. So we look at those numbers, who came in during that, to kind of get those things flowing as well. So everything, of course, is on an estimated number, and we try to plan accordingly. And I'm just one of those people, I will buy tons of extra and then, like, have it on hand because I'm just too nervous to run out and then maybe potentially have a child that kind of gets heartbroken because they didn't get a craft that week or something. So kind of looking at how we promote. Where do we advertise summer reading, and what do we do? First and foremost, Rhonda and I both are in the schools. She is school outreach with preschool and Head Start and daycares here in the community, and then I am in the schools with kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, and then I also do after-school programming as needed or as requested in our schools. So that is our main first jumping off point. We go into our schools with flyers for every child in the school to take home. We do like a little half-page flyer to get the information out there. It gives them a take-home, so it kind of gives them a little bit of information to tell their parents kind of what summer reading is and how they can either get signed up with the Bookmobile summer reading or the in-house one. We hang flyers up all throughout the community at grocery stores, banks. We don't necessarily have a Boys and Girls Club here in our county, but our Boys and Girls Club down in Tennessee, which is just like across the line from us, is really good about partnering with us, so we do some promoting with them. I actually have a homeschool co-op that meets here once a month, and we do a lot of advertising with those kids through the homeschool co-ops, even in the surrounding counties. And then, of course, social media is like kind of the number one big deal. We use Facebook and Instagram faithfully, and we are hoping to get more active on Twitter eventually, but right now Facebook and Instagram are our main go-tos for social media, and we have seen major spikes in our program attendance, our sign-up attendance, different things like that, all because their parents are seeing it on social media, or like for your tweens and teens, your kids are seeing it on Instagram for themselves, and it's giving them that initiative and that incentive to want to be here with us. So now over to the next slide, all aboard the Bookmobile, and I'm actually going to take a break and let Miss Rhonda talk to you guys all about summer reading on the Bookmobile.
Okay, so we do offer summer reading on the Bookmobile. Unfortunately, we can't bring all of the programs out to the kids that they can get in the library, but we do our best to let them be included and to promote reading over the summer with them as well. So our Bookmobile in this picture, this is our new one. We were really excited to get this past year. Before that, we had the bread truck type. So we're excited about the new one. Annually on our Bookmobile, we circulate about 6,000 items. For the size and locations that we go to in our county, I feel like that's pretty good for us. The Bookmobile stops include apartment outreach. I do have a couple apartment complexes in the county. Most of those are low-income housing. I do daycare outreach, which for me includes story time and a craft during the weeks of summer reading. And all of the daycare kids are signed up for the program and receive prizes and recognition as well. We have a couple community housing stops. We have done some programming in their community rooms. We'll mention that a little later. Sometimes that has worked well, sometimes that has not. We've actually had to adjust some of that when we were going out to these places and not having the attendance we needed. So the majority of my Bookmobile stops, though, are individual homes. We are a rural county, and the housing is pretty spread out. So within a community, it's not like your typical suburban neighborhoods. I mean, there's a lot of space between some of the homes. So individual homes make up the largest part of my route. And so that can include, it may be one child that's getting to participate, or some families have several children that can participate. Or if it is in a neighborhood, several kids from different houses may come together to come on the Bookmobile. What that includes on the Bookmobile, they can register for the program. Let's see. Oh, one more thing. It's important to track your data on the Bookmobile. So track the program numbers and track circulation numbers because, as you know, those need to be turned in with your annual report and with your summer reading statistics as well. Okay. So what they can do on the Bookmobile. Of course, Bookmobile service is provided year-round, but during summer reading, we add some extra activities. Children can register for the program on the Bookmobile. They'll get their little bag and all their information just like if they were in the library. They can, of course, check out their books. They do receive prizes and incentives. We do offer crafts and activities at each stop or location. So that's something that we have looked at when planning our crafts and activities. We try to think about what is portable that I can take with me easily on the truck so that the kids can participate that way. Also, children who participate in the summer reading program through the Bookmobile are invited to our summer reading finale so that they can come and celebrate their reading achievements from the summer as well. Also, I didn't put it on there, but one other thing we do is we usually have a costume character each year, and we do take the character out with us on the Bookmobile to the daycare centers during summer reading also. So let's see. Okay.
Okay, so kind of what's going on in your library? Budget programs, cost savers. One thing that we like to look at is who can we partner with to kind of get more bang for our buck or for no money, but still talk about keeping it local. We do a huge amount of programming with our extension office, and they are phenomenal. If you are not reaching out and using your extension office, please utilize that. They have such great programming, and you'll see some pictures in a couple of the slides ahead of programs that we have partnered with them on, and it is phenomenal. Now, you see Kroger on there as well, and the reason I say Kroger, Kroger actually donates 100% of the ice cream that we use for our ice cream social, which is every year we start summer reading sign-ups with an ice cream social and an activity, and Kroger, our local Kroger, actually donates every single bit of the ice cream, the toppings, anything that we want. They donate 100% to the library, and it does not cost us anything to be able to do that. So that's why we say look at your grocery stores in your area. What can they do for you? What can you give back to them? Our school district, we partner with our school district, like I said, in the after-school programs. So they are really good about helping us get the word out to the parents, to the families. So that is a huge partner for us. They may not partner with us technically on programs so much, but they are kind of our navigation to get to these parents and to these families. One thing we are hoping to do this summer that we talked about with our school district is they actually host like a summer camp, a week-long summer camp, and we are hoping to partner with them this summer and do like a week-long literacy style program with our summer reading that we can possibly tie into our summer reading program here. If you have water parks, theaters, music stores, anything like those in your county, utilize that for prizes and incentives for your programs, or maybe for like if you want a certain number of books read, those kind of things. We actually do not have a water park in our county, but we do have one in Williamsburg and one in Pulaski County, and they are awesome about partnering with us and giving us like free water park passes, free movie theater elevator passes, those kind of things to use as prizes and incentives. And like I said, that's not even in our county. That's just surrounding counties. So don't be afraid to kind of reach outside your community border, because I think when it comes to kind of helping with kids in the community, it will stretch far past your border. Just don't be afraid to ask for those. So then over here, this is just some pictures that I wanted to share with you guys on this slide. Register programs and prizes. So as you'll see, this is some of, like Ms. Rhonda talked about, our costume characters. We've had Smokey the Bear. We've had Pete the Cat. We've had Clifford. Every summer we try to bring in a different stuffed character, and we do different programming with them. Like this past summer, we actually did pancake breakfast, pancakes in pajamas with Llama Llama, and so we read Llama Llama, Red Pajama, and some other Llama Llama books, and the kids got to wear their PJs and come in and actually get to, like, hug on and see and get their picture made with the costume character Llama Llama in his red pajamas. So we always like to do some type of book character that the kids can relate to. You'll see the picture with Pete the Cat. Actually, this is why I tell you, don't be afraid to ask. A lady was in the library one day and heard me talking about how I would love to rent Pete the Cat for summer reading last year since it was music themed. You could not find a Pete the Cat to rent anywhere. Like, he was booked solid. Well, she heard me talking to our library director about how I wish we had the funds to buy one, and I just really think the kids would love Pete the Cat, and she took it upon herself and actually took up an Origami Owl order for us, and all the money from the Origami Owl order and donations that she received bought that Pete the Cat suit for us. So he is now a permanent actual staple here at the library. He is ours forever to be able to use for programming. So that's why I say don't be afraid to ask your community for help and for support, because sometimes we help and support them so much they don't care to help and support us back. We just have to put that need out there. Then also you'll see down at the bottom of that, you'll see kind of those tweens, teens standing there holding those birdhouses. That's what I'm talking about, partnering with your extension office. Those birdhouses was an extension office program. I think we maybe had $2 or $3 in each birdhouse. Cheap program, partnering with someone local, and the kids had a blast. They hammered every single nail. They painted them, they decorated them, and made them exactly what they wanted. And it was a program that was awesome for our tweens and our teens, but yet partnering with our extension office. You'll see kind of over in the corner, too, at the bottom, you'll see a group shot or whatever. That is actually one of our local gyms came in, and we hosted a pound class, which I don't know if some of you guys may know what pound is, but it is a high-energy, fun, each kid gets drumsticks, and they get to bang on your floor. They get to bang those drumsticks together, and we just had a full-out party inside our library, getting the kids up and active and physically fit, by having fun and all being related around last year's music theme. So the gym came in, and I think that program costed us maybe $25. So, and like I said, that's a gym that's roughly 30 minutes away from us, but yet they came to us and helped us with this program. We offer a lot of STEM Maker Monday programs, and this past summer reading, since it was all about music, all of our STEM Maker Monday projects were music themed. We made cereal box guitars, we made oatmeal container drums, we made spaghetti jar lid banjos. Everything had a music theme to it, but also incorporated recycling and using all those STEM skills that we know is so important for kids nowadays. And then up at the top, you'll see the kids painting. That is actually a program I'll talk to you about on in the next couple slides, but it's On the Move Art Studio. If you do not know what On the Move Art Studio is, please check them out, because that is an awesome free resource that I'm going to talk about a little bit more, where they actually came and did a program for us for absolutely free, and every child walked away making a canvas picture that day at no cost to the library. So now looking at no-cost, low-cost programs, I touched on a little bit of this with our pictures, but the Make It Monday programs, book cooks, birdhouse building. All of those are programs that we have partnered with our extension office on. We have did yoga classes with Shaker Village. We have did dance classes, pound classes, exercise classes with our gyms. I just don't want everybody to kind of get so wrapped up in that you got to stick with that theme so strictly, because I think your programs will be better if you don't try to really target yourself in on that certain theme. And that's what we've tried to do the past few years, is kind of offer more fun, programming that we know is going to get these kids in here and get them energetic and get them upbeat about the library. You'll see I said On the Move Art Studio. They are out of Lexington, Kentucky. If you do not know what they are, please, after this program, take a couple minutes, Google them. They are absolutely free. It is a refurbished Airstream camper that travels all over Kentucky, in rural areas especially, bringing the arts to our children. They are phenomenal. The gentleman's name is Josh, and he is wonderful. He is all about giving back to the communities and giving back to the kids and supporting the arts that seem to fall through the cracks so much nowadays in our schools. He is kind of there to push it and support it. And it is actually a free program. We did not pay him anything. We did give him a donation just from us, kind of help with gas and those kind of things. But that is a free program. He does not charge your library for it. Like I said, look at your STEM Maker Monday programs, use your recyclables, use your donations, kind of that thing, putting the need out there. I went out to social media last year, probably about this time last year, put it out on Facebook and Instagram. I am in need of cereal boxes, oatmeal containers, spaghetti jar lids, those kind of things. I was flooded. I'm flooded still yet with cereal boxes, oatmeal containers, but hey, we all know as children's librarians, you'll find a place to use those. So I was so happy and just so honored that so many people in the county actually were able to do that for us and help us with those programs. Don't be afraid to reach out to your Park Service, your Army Corps of Engineers. If you have those locally, like Rhonda said earlier, we are a big part of the National Park Service and the Daniel Boone. So we partner with them a lot for what we call Reading Ranger programs, Bobber, the water safety dog. Always utilize those programs that are out there because those are free programs. They do not cost us anything, and it gives us a program that the kids absolutely love. And most of the time, National Park Service, Army Corps of Engineers, they bring their own prizes and incentives as well for your kids. So your kids are kind of getting a win-win. You may be giving prizes and incentives. The Park Service, Army Corps of Engineers may as well, so they're walking away getting a whole lot just from that one program. Now, I talked about Mr. Moeller and Scrubby Bear a little bit. That is actually with Cumberland's Family Medical Centers. If you are lucky enough to have those in your community like we are, those are free programs as well. Mr. Moeller is a big, huge cartoon charactered tooth with a big, huge toothbrush, and Scrubby Bear is a big, huge teddy bear all about germs and hand washing, and I love them. I actually use Mr. Moeller every single February for Children's Dental Health Month as well. That's a free program, and they bring our kids free toothbrushes, free toothpaste, all kinds of stuff, and they would do that for summer reading as well. You just kind of got to call them and get on their calendar of when they rotate and where they go. We have also did science programs with our local high school science clubs, called the science teacher and worked it out. She actually came in and did a program where all of the kids got to get actually hands-on, mixing chemicals and blowing stuff up and getting all messy and gooey and all those kinds of fun things that the kids love as well. And it didn't cost us a dime, and it gave those kids community service hours at the high school as well. So definitely utilize what's in your community, even if it's at, like I said, at the high school level. And I also will throw in, as far as high school, if you are looking for volunteers in your library, make sure and reach out to maybe community service clubs at your high school, your beta clubs, those kind of things. Utilize those. I get a lot of my volunteers from those areas. So definitely do that, and they are always on board to volunteer and get those community service hours for college. So I'm going to take just a second, and I'm going to actually hush a little bit, and I'm going to let Ms. Rhonda talk to you guys a little bit further.
Okay. So the next thing we want wanted to talk briefly about is something that has made our lives easier in the library in regard to summer reading, and that is that we have done away with using the reading logs. I know, gasp. But some libraries are still using them. A lot of them, I've been hearing at conferences, have started to move away or do something, an alternative way of tracking. But we have done away with the logs, and several reasons for that. One, it has really cut down the amount of work for the circulation staff because they used to have to track the numbers of books that every child enrolled in summer reading was checking out, which held up the line and things like that. Also, we don't require a certain number of books to participate in the program or to come to the final celebration. One of the reasons we've done this is we just felt like it got too much into policing it with the logs and requiring them to read a certain amount or a certain amount of time. We wanted to focus more on just reading being fun and enjoyable. They have so many requirements on them during the school year that we wanted this to just be a break from that and just to encourage the enjoyment of reading and participating in library activities. We do still put a little paper log in their bag just because some individual families like to keep track of it for themselves or maybe set a personal goal, but it's not something that we require any longer. So all they really have to do is register, and after that they are considered a participant. They are welcome to come to any programs. They can get prizes, and they can come to our finale, which it even helped with the finale because in the past, you know, we had to keep a list of everybody who met the requirements, and if they didn't meet the requirements, then they technically weren't supposed to come, and we just didn't like that mentality. We wanted it to be a big, huge celebration, encouraging them to enjoy the library and to enjoy reading even at their own pace. Because, of course, this also helps address the different ability levels of our summer reading kids. You know, some of them may struggle to read a book. We don't want that to be a hardship or to make them feel like they weren't successful because they didn't read a certain number or a certain amount of time. So we were really happy about that decision, and it has made things a bit smoother for us. We do track the program numbers, and we also track the circulation numbers so we can see an increase in the circulation during the period of summer reading. So that's just a little thing that was a change that made an improvement for us. Now we will go over just what we found to be some things that have worked and what didn't work as well for us. It's always good to stop and take a look at that because just because something has been done a certain way for, 5 years, 10 years, it doesn't mean that it's not time to look at new ways to do things. So the things that have worked for us in our summer reading program. Number one, we just talked about no logs. Number two, the shared theme kits between the Bookmobile and the library. Now, for me personally, this has just been a lifesaver. When we first started doing it a couple years ago, it was just such a great idea, and it saves time because in the beginning, of course, you have to sit down for a few hours and get it all worked out and get the kits put together. But after that, you've got 4 weeks of not really worrying about what you're doing because it's already prepared. And I know Ms. Hawley mentioned volunteers. She often has her volunteers prepare the pieces for the crafts and the kits that go into these theme kits. So that has been something that works really well between us to share with the library and on the road. Something else that has worked well for us, at our finale party, we used to have various prizes. We would have a table with a bunch of different prizes, and the kids could choose what they wanted to take as their prize. In theory, that sounds great and exciting, but what you really run into is, you only had so many of this item, and more kids wanted it than got it, or we used to do T-shirts, and then, you didn't have all the right sizes. So what we've gone with for the last 2 years is we just picked a small prize, a uniform prize, and everybody that came to the finale got that. One year it was a water bottle that said the library and the theme on it, and then last year it was a little inexpensive trophy that said Reading Rock Star. So everyone got the same prize at the finale, and again the focus was more on the party, the celebration, rather than just the material item. So that has made things easier also. Something that's worked really well also in-house is Ms. Holly offers door prizes at all of her programs. Those prizes stem back to what she was talking about with community partners. Most of the prizes, in fact, I think all the prizes, are things that didn't cost the library any money. They've been donated from businesses and organizations throughout the community. Examples of that are like train tickets to our local scenic train, movie theater tickets, and so she just has like 1 or 2 prizes for each program, and that helps get people in the door because they get a chance to win this prize, as well as enjoying an awesome program. So those are some little things that have helped our summer reading program. Things that didn't work, quantity versus quality. There have been times when Ms. Holly was having a program every single day, and while that was great, what we found is that the attendance dropped off because everyone wasn't going to come every single day, and also we couldn't put as much focus into each program when we're having so many. So she's looked at cutting down the quantity and focusing more on the quality of the programs. Adjusting our community location stops. As I mentioned earlier, we have a couple community housing complexes that have meeting rooms, and they have let us use their meeting room to do basically a story time program for summer reading with story and a craft. And what we found at one location after attempting it for, I think, 2 years, possibly 3, we just were not having the attendance. I mean, we literally had 1 or 2, and then this past year, the first 2 times we attempted, we had no one show up, despite the fact we had gone door to door handing out flyers. And that's really not a lot more you can do after you've gone door to door to invite people. So we decided to cut that stop off of the route because it wasn't a good use of our time. Let's see. Okay, something else we're looking at is having the same finale every year doesn't work as well. It's time to switch it up and move on to something new. So we are looking at that this year. We're going to have some different activities and things at our finale. We've done inflatables the last few years at the community center, and so we're looking at doing possibly more like a carnival this year, and just changing that up a little so they don't get tired of the same thing as well. Something else that didn't work that we've moved away from is being too theme-driven. We've touched on that a little with programs and with story times. It's good to have the theme to kind of bounce off of, but if you try to stick too strictly to it, it really limits you as far as programming. You might have an opportunity to have a great free program, but it doesn't relate to space or it doesn't relate to music, and so you pass on that. So just be flexible when it comes to that. It doesn't have to directly relate to the exact theme every time. Also, this is important because when we look at ways to spin off from the theme, we try to find books and activities that are going to be enjoyable. Because as many of you know, if you do any story times or programming, if you're not into the book, they can tell it, and it changes the quality of the program. So we try not to do a book just simply because it goes with the theme. We want to find some that we actually enjoy and then pass that on to the kids. So those are just some tips of things that worked for us, and we're constantly evaluating how we can change and improve our program. So we'll get back to Ms. Holly to talk to you about some of those community prizes.
Okay, so kind of on your screen you're going to see some pictures. This is prizes and incentives that were donated completely to us for free, never costed us anything. So down on the bottom row you will actually see like some Texas Roadhouse coupons, Fazoli's coupons. If you have those in your area or even outside of your area to it a little bit, please utilize them. Texas Roadhouse and Fazoli's both will give you a big push. If you read, I think it's 3 books maybe with Texas Roadhouse and 5 books with Fazoli's, the kids get free kids meals from those restaurants. So they donated those. We dropped those into their summer reading sign-up bags, and that gives the kids another incentive to read 3 books, 5 books, and know that they can go to that restaurant and get a free kids meal, and that didn't cost us anything from that restaurant. Neither one of those restaurants being in our county because we're too rural. Those are about a 30-minute drive from us, but still yet they wanted to give back to our community. So don't be afraid to ask. McDonald's always gives us free ice cream cone coupons to give to every child in their summer reading sign-up bag. Here you'll also see movie theater tickets from our movie theaters that are about 30 minutes away from us again as well, because we do not have a local theater here. They donated, and all of these prizes and incentives were used at my in-house programs and also with Rhonda on the Bookmobile to get kids in, get them enticed, and get them, to enjoy summer reading programs, reading all around. It's a big celebration of reading because they're pushed to read AR and stuff so much in school. We want their whole summer reading experience to be fun and upbeat. And actually up in the top corner last year, since it was music themed, we had 2 music stores in our community, and they donated free music lessons to our kids, guitar, mandolin, banjo, violin, different things like that. Our kids could actually go and take a free lesson if they won those certificates. So don't be afraid to ask, even if it's kind of outside your border walls of your community. And we'll just kind of wrap up with like a thank you. Thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedules. We know what your schedules are like. We walk in your all shoes every single day. Finding an hour to sit at a computer and kind of have peace and quiet for a few minutes is hard. You have our information on there as far as our names, the library, and our emails. If you ever have a question about today's content, don't hesitate to email us and ask. We'd be more than happy to share with you guys. But at this time, that kind of wraps us up and I think opens the floor for questions if anybody has questions. So back to you, Krista.
All right. Thank you so much, Holly and Rhonda. There's so much great information packed into this 45 minutes. I have been keeping a list of questions. We've had several questions come in over the hour. Please do keep those questions coming in the chat box as we keep our discussion going. I want to start off talking about timelines. For you all, Holly and Rhonda, what time of the year do you start planning for summer reading? And do you have certain activities that you do each month, or do you have certain deadlines for preparing promotional material to get out to the schools and your community partners?
Okay, we are actually in full-blown planning mode now. I actually have a good portion of our programs already locked in on scheduled dates for summer reading already, and we will actually start getting that out to the school in April. The first set of flyers and advertising, those kind of things, will actually hit the schools to go home with kids in April, and our events will probably actually hit Facebook, I would say in April as well. We like to get those Facebook events out there and start inviting people to those so that they can get the constant notifications and links about them. But we are in full-blown planning mode now with the majority of our programs already locked in and booked.
Excellent. And you mentioned you had a Pinterest board. I did share a link to the Pinterest board for the Collaborative Summer Library Program in the chat box, and I believe we also have that on KDLA's Summer Reading website. So if you all wouldn't mind sharing that, and I can even send that out to all the attendees today. Someone asked, when is your program attendance higher? Is it during the month of June or July? And additionally, do you have a better day of the week or time of day for certain programs or audiences?
Well, I would definitely say the attendance is better in June. Once you hit 4th of July, and Rhonda kind of talked on that, once you hit 4th of July, it's kind of that downhill slide. People are already kind of thinking, I've got to start getting, stuff ready for school and those kind of things. But definitely June is kind of our high month. But then also it truly depends on the type of program that we're offering. We have something what we call Fun Fridays, and that's usually one of our, big programs for the week, those tend to bring in our biggest numbers, but not always. Like the On the Move Art Studio we had this past summer, they were actually here, I think it was on a Thursday, and it brought in more people than our Fun Friday did. So I think it truly depends on the program in general and what the people want and what they know their kids are going to enjoy the most.
You have had to, I know Holly's had to take into consideration nap time, depending on the age of the programming, but our Fun Fridays are typically around 2 o'clock, so your littler ones are hopefully done with their nap, and then you also get some older siblings coming in then. I think for teens and tweens, she's done an evening, like a Monday evening, 5 or 6 o'clock, so that the parents can get them in. And you always do run into the problem, no matter what time you schedule, really, that not all the parents are going to be able to make it, which is unfortunate, but then again, we encourage them to let the kids do it through the Bookmobile also.
Debbie in Martin County asked if you wouldn't mind elaborating a little bit more on teen programs. For example, do you do any teen book clubs?
Okay, so I handle all of the teen programming here at the library as well. I do children's, tweens, and teens. We do not do a teen book club. We have a teen advisory board or a group that helps me with scheduling and picking programs and those kind of things. We do a lot of tween-teen game nights. We do the Make It Monday programs where we partner with our extension office because that's the age range that they're looking for as well. So we do crafts, we do different things like that. We have did rock painting programs, you name it. We have probably tried it with our teens, but kind of the biggest overall kind of guaranteed numbers you know you're going to get them in here is the game nights.
With pizza.
So with pizza, feed them. They're teenagers. They like to eat. So when I say pizza and games, you've locked them in and they're good.
Speaking of food, do you all participate in the summer feeding program?
No, we actually do not. That is another kind of one of our things that's on the to-do list that we hope will eventually we'll be able to kind of get that up and going. We have tried to partner with our schools and get a few things going, different things like that as well. But as of right now, we do not offer the actual summer reading feed program.
We did a different program a few years back, but that didn't continue.
So as of right now, we do not do any type of feed other than if it is a snack or a meal that is provided by the library on the library's budget.
And do you find that to be a significant part of your budget, or are you able to get any donations for food?
Well, like I said, Kroger donates to ice cream, different things like that. We have had some donations in the past, or at least a major cost cut from like local restaurants, different things like that when they provide the pizza or different things. But no, it is not a huge, huge matter in our budget. It is, I think it's something that we still easily kind of obtain and we can do. My biggest thing is that I feel like if we did the feed program and kind of worked our programming around the feed program like some other libraries do, I think it might help our attendance. And then also it just kind of as a mom and as a person who worries about children so much, I would love to have the summer feed program just to know that these kids are getting a good solid meal.
Excellent. Question came in about completion. I know you talked a little bit about the major transformation you've done with eliminating reading goals. Does your library measure completion in any way?
Technically, we do not because we're not looking at it as a requirement. Now, Holly on her own has gone back just out of curiosity and looked at the children who were enrolled and looked at how many books they were reading, and I think she found for the most part, most of them were meeting the 10 books that we used to require. But technically, no, we don't, but off the record, yes, she has just looked at it personally she wanted to make sure it wasn't like hindering our circulation, and it was not, so.
Great. You also mentioned summer sign-up bags. When do you give those out, and what goes in them?
Okay, so in our summer reading bags, we order the standard across the board, I guess it's the CSLP drawstring plastic bags. We order them, and they actually receive those at the summer reading sign-up at the ice cream social that we're talking about. They receive those then, or if they can't make that day, they get those bags on the day that they sign up or the day that Rhonda visits them at their house on the Bookmobile, but you always get that bag at your initial sign-up, whenever that may be. Now, inside that bag, like she said, we still give them a log if they want to track and keep up with it personally or as a family goal. They get their, like I said, this past year we had Texas Roadhouse coupons, we had McDonald's coupons, Fazoli's coupons, and like I said, those Texas Roadhouse and Fazoli's was also incentives to read. Read 3 books, read 5 books, get a kid's meal, those kind of things. They always get some type of maybe a little trinket or prize to tie into what summer reading is. They get a library pencil, bookmarks, those kind of things. It is just filled with small, either donated or budget-friendly items to kind of get them up and excited for the next 4 weeks.
And those logs that are included, do those come from the CSLP manual or a different source?
No, we actually have made our own logs. We will use the clip art from CSLP, but we have actually created our own book style log that will actually go into those bags. But no, that is not an actual log that we purchased from CSLP.
Okay. You talked a lot about getting things ready to promote to the schools and sending home flyers. Do those have to be approved by a superintendent or anybody in particular at the schools?
Not necessarily. Our superintendent has never really gave us any type of major issues with that. Usually it is just kind of the principal's discretion at the schools or the teacher's discretions that we partner with. The superintendent has kind of always been on board with that. So actually we just kind of work within the schools because me and Rhonda are in the schools so much. We just kind of work within the schools that we're in and get that taken care of. So no, not really a whole lot of, it just kind of depends, I guess, on your district. But I actually worked for our school district for 8 years prior to coming to the library. So I have a very good working relationship with our superintendent, and he has never really gave me any type of flack over approving our stuff that we send home.
Great. You also talked a lot about promoting through social media. How does the content differ between Instagram and Facebook? And how do you advertise towards the kids or teens versus adults and parents?
Okay, so kind of across the board on Facebook, we always create the Facebook events. So that's one of the great features with Facebook. You can create an event and invite people to that event so they're getting those constant notifications. So it's not just a one-time picture that you put out on Facebook and it's been forgotten about. It is an actual created Facebook event that sends them notifications, hey, you have events this week or you have an event today. So that way it allows us to invite people off of our personal Facebooks to people that we know have kids that kind of fit the demographic and those kind of things. So that's definitely one of the things that we do on Facebook. We do your occasional one-time post about this program or that program, but for the most part, definitely the Facebook events have been the big tie-in and the big reward for us. Now, you can't necessarily do those events on Instagram. It kind of is just that snapshot of your event. So we do a lot of continuous posting on Instagram during summer reading. We will take the pictures of maybe the logo of the program that we're going to do or the flyer that we create, and those are put out on Instagram, and we just keep that constantly flowing. I actually handle all of the Instagram, and then me and Rhonda kind of tag team Facebook, but what we do is just make it current. We are on Facebook and Instagram every single day, posting and kind of keeping it fresh, and we don't ever let it die down in the back of their minds. And then one thing, too, kind of steering with the tweens and teens on Instagram, Definitely, you got to be snappy with your wording. You can't write a book with them. They want to just be able to read, video games, board games, and pizza at 5:30. Short, sweet, and then pop a picture on there of a video game controller or a pizza or something, and that's going to be eye-catching to them. So keep it short and sweet with your tweens and your teens, where your parents may be more apt to read into the details of it.
And your teens and tweens are going to be looking to Instagram more than Facebook. They tend to think Facebook is for old people. Sorry, but they do. And they're probably actually more active on other social media outlets that we haven't gotten involved in yet. But
such as Snapchat and stuff.
Between Facebook and Instagram, you're going to reach the younger ones on Instagram, and you're going to reach more parents on Facebook.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to the very close of our hour. Again, if anybody has any more questions, please do go ahead and put those in the chat. We'll stick around for a few minutes after the end of the recording. But at this time, I want to again thank Holly Doherty and Rhonda Kajorski from the McCreary County Public Library. And I would like to move into our wrap-up to remind you of a few more resources available from KDLA. Again, a reminder that today's training was made possible through the Institute for Museum and Library Services. A reminder that the recording of this webinar will be made available within 1 week, and it will be announced on the KDLA Lister. I would like to remind you at this time of some upcoming 2 more summer reading webinars in the month of January. One from our friends at the Woodford County Public Library on developing school and library partnerships, and then another one on rethinking summer reading programs from the Henry County Public Library. There are links to register for both of those directly from the slide, or you can visit KDLA's Continuing Education Calendar for more details. Here is a snapshot of KDLA's Summer Reading Support website. It is a living website and is updating and changing all of the time. You will be able to find information about the Collaborative Summer Library Program, which Kentucky is a member state with, as well as upcoming summer reading themes, a link to our volunteer statewide coupon committee program, state partnerships with the summer feeding folks, as well as the Kentucky Department of Education, and archive trainings on all topics related to summer reading, including last fall's KDLA Youth Services Retreat. Please do stay in touch. If you are not already receiving information from the KDLA Lister, it is a discussion list devoted to those of you working with children and teens in your library. This is your opportunity to ask questions, share ideas, voice concerns, and make valuable networking contacts all through email. To sign up, simply send your information to my address, krista.king-oaks@ky.gov. There are also several more listservs available through KDLA, everything from technology to Bookmobile outreach and adult programs. You can find all of that and more on the staff development page of KDLA's website. Sorry about that. We moved a little too quickly. Just a reminder, you can also find out more information to do with trending topics and training that we send out weekly through the KDLA Lister. We do Friday weekly updates, and all of those are archived on the Youth Services Support website. You can also find announcements of statewide training, asynchronous online training, as well as book kits and thematic program kits all through the state library. Learn about this and more by visiting the Youth Services page on KDLA's website. With that, thank you for attending today's webinar. On the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you can download the slides from today's show. And if you have a few moments, please click on the box at the bottom labeled IMLS Survey. It takes only a couple seconds and helps KDLA to retain IMLS funding for future training and support efforts. Thank you again. Thank you to Rhonda and Holly at the